the Chilean Triple Crown winner. And as I mentioned, he is undefeated. But it is, a bit of a question that he was entered in a graded stake on the dirt, away from the races for a very long time, and now comes back here. Now, that being said, he has been stable down at Payson
Dale,
Park for the winter and
campeón.
has worked strong on both surfaces. And one of the benefits of Payson is being able to work on the turf down there. Seeing him, I'm not familiar with him, but he is a very big horse and also looks like he's carrying a bit of excess weight. It's been a long barrel to him as well, but he's been very professional, very laid back.
Amor,
And watching that last race in
ahí
Chile,
pillé
which you can
la
find on
carrera.
YouTube,
Ahí
I'm
está.
not surprised to see that he's laid
El
back,
uno.
because as
Va
is
con el uno.
often the case in Latin America and the Southern
Sí.
Hemisphere, afterwards
Corre
you're
otro chileno
swarmed by
también.
a million people in the winner's circle,
En
everybody
la
kind of
misma
hammering
carrera.
him, and he took it all in stride. But he won impressively
Masterpiece.
in that last out effort. So we'll see if he can bring those Chilean Group 1s over here to America. Now, the number 4, Carson
Pude, voy a
Run,
gritar
will start
cuando
there. He's your current
corra.
favorite. He is making the first start of his 4-year-old season. Now, he's not a horse that grew or changed drastically from 3 to 4, but he didn't really grow or change much from 2 to 3 either. And he's not a horse that physically or on his pedigree you would look at and say he strikes you immediately as the type of horse that wanted to go those long distances on turf, but he obviously is able to handle it, and he has been training very forwardly in South Florida as well. He looks incredibly fit coming back. He certainly looks ready, and he's gotten a bit sharper once they put the tack on him as well. He is a horse that sometimes can be a little bit on edge in the paddock. Not seeing that at all. He's just bubbling beneath the surface, which you do appreciate to see. I'm excited to see Carson back on the track, and of course, named for Carson Yost and that beautiful story that he has carried with him for the Yost family and West Point Thoroughbreds. His stablemate Deterministic does have some recency on his side. Now, he is a horse that has changed and developed. When I last saw him, when he returned down to Payson, I couldn't believe how much he had grown and filled out and strengthened coming back as a 4-year-old. And he was kind of a lighter frame type of 3-year-old as well. He does have one race off the bench, which was an off the turf race, and obviously he won the Gotham on the dirt on a very wet track, but he was involved in a very fast pace at Keeneland last time out, and he ended up kind of jumping the tracks a bit late. He got a bit tired, which was understandable given how quick that pace was, but I thought overall he ran exceptionally well. That was going a mile and an eighth on the dirt. I think this distance on the turf suits him perfectly, as he has taken a step forward this year, Greg.
So can he turn the tables? He has a recency edge, Deterministic, on his stablemate Carson's Run. He'll be to the races in this Grade 2 Ford Marcy. We'll get back to it in a moment with the post parade. It is an exceptional meet with that victory as we get back to the post parade for the Grade 2 Ford Marcy and the state's debut of the undefeated K Army.
We'll see what we get from this one. As Acacia said, well, a big wild card, but he's handled a lot of different surfaces, distances, and is going different directions as well.
This is crazy. This is probably the horse to beat off for Masterpiece. 9-year-old debut. He's 10-1.
He won this race last year, and if he can find that effort yet again where he defeated heavy favorite Ottoman Fleet, he's way too big a price.
So many races that are faster than everyone in here. Here's Deterministic, Christophe Clement.
And using his early speed as a tactical weapon that may put him at an advantage over Carson's Run.
Carson's Run has beat Deterministic the 2 times they've met. He's a Grade 1 winner.
And he had a tough trip last time when he didn't fire in California in that Grade 1 Hollywood Derby as the favorite.
And first time on the grass, Todd Pletcher's Tuscan Sky.
This one has quite a bit of turf pedigree. He's a half to an accomplished turf sprinter in Private Creed.
So let's look back at the stablemates when they met in the Jockey Club Derby Invitational. Only 3/4 of a length would separate them. Carson's Run would add another graded stakes win and get the best of Deterministic once again.
And I always thought that Carson's Run was perhaps a little bit better in terms of the trips that he was able to secure, because with Deterministic they had tried some different tactics, whether or not they were going to really fully utilize his early speed or not. And I think that last time on the dirt, using that early speed and then finishing second to the very accomplished Money Supply maybe shows that they're going to be a little bit more aggressive with him, and that could give him the edge as well as the recency. But as of yet, Carson's Run has been able to defeat him when they've matched up, and Carson's Run is going to get the trip from off the pace, though he is one that is coming in off of that layoff.
So 9-5 on the horse who's beat his stablemate the 2 times they have met. But yes, recency might be an issue. He hasn't raced since November 30th. That defeat in the Hollywood Derby. Dylan Davis for Christophe Clement. This is the barn that gave Dylan Davis really his first big opportunities to win big races. First Group 1 win for Dylan came for this barn.
And it was a story we were following along with all year, especially over the summer at Saratoga, and getting that first Grade 1 with Carson's Run, a great story as well for the aptly named horse for Carson Yost. I mean, Dylan has really shown up as one of the top riders overall, but that was a moment that was a big accomplishment for him with a horse that he got along with well, for barn that he'd been familiar with for quite some time, and he's able to continue that partnership and show up again almost a year later here.
Well, this horse right here, first time trying this surface with more. Let's go back to Acacia.
And as Sarah mentioned, there is some pedigree to suggest that he should handle it. But Private Creed, much more of a sprinter, as she also touched on. And this is a horse that physically I've never really been wowed by because he's that smaller, very angular type of build. A build that often can really lend itself to turf. So I've actually written down in the past that I think he kind of fooled quite a bit of people early on Tuscan Sky because his first 2 races were on a wet track and maybe just looked so much better than they were when he was just kind of built more like a wet track horse. I think he could handle the grass, certainly with the pedigree and certainly the way he's put together physically. The Dam also won on the grass, and Vino Rosso can certainly have turf runners too. Now, he's another one that never really went on and developed as I always would have hoped, but he does come back as a gelding. I think it's kind of a, he's not going to become a stallion now. Let's give it a try and see if he can handle it because he does have pedigree for it. And he was running as a 3-year-old in particular against some very, very tough competition, and even most recently finishing 3rd in the Go Sapper behind White Abario. He's moving beautifully in the warm-up. Now the 2 masterpieces, I think, big overlay right now at 9-1, as he is a horse that it maybe is not the most consistent, and you can be perhaps a little suspicious of his most recent form, but he won this race last year, the Fort Marcy, with a 101 Beyer speed figure. He also won the Red Smith here at Aqueduct. He's run very good races here. Now, I guess he's a 9-year-old. He's a big burly horse that always carries a lot of attention, but I had written down last time out in the Red Smith when he disappointed that he was very quiet in the paddock. Today, he's much brighter, much more alert. He's had a rather reserved warm-up. The one thing that does concern me a little bit, though, is that the front wraps do go on. It's not something I normally key into. However, on turf, unless it's typical of the trainer or typical of the horse, you typically don't see them. So just something that's maybe a food for thought, and especially with a horse that is cold on the board, even though he does have past credentials, make him a big player in here, Greg.
Someone must know something for him to be that bright. I mean, obviously that last race was bad, but he went to the bench. The 7 races prior, no one could touch him in here. Unless we don't know what K-Army is. Maybe K-Army is this incredible freak and he's just too good. But of the horses we know with the form here in the States, no one's close to him.
Well, I think the upside is gone with a horse like this. And you have those horses that are those newly turned 4-year-olds that had the successful seasons as 3-year-olds, both going out for the Clement barn, as well as wild card of K-Army, who's undefeated, and someone who's doing something new for the first time, and all the potential in the world to take to the turf. So yes, he's the known commodity, but he's also coming off of a really poor performance. And even when he did win this race last year, he had some good forward position, and that's something we usually see when he's been more effective. But the favorite in that race also didn't get out of the gate all that quickly. Ottoman Fleet broke slowly and then broke inwards, and then was really keen in behind horses and just had everything go against him. So yes, he was able to get the victory with a fast race that if he repeats it, he's going to be dangerous at a big price. But the horse that was more highly touted on the board had things really working against him that day as well.
But still, I mean, it doesn't matter. He still ran as fast as he ran, and it's not just that race. It's 7 races in a row where he's put together that kind of figure. I'm not saying he's going to win today. He may not. He shouldn't be this price.
What price should he be?
I mean, he's the horse to beat off form. 3-1, 7-2.
So he should be a shorter price than the 5?
I would think so. Oh, no question.
Yeah, but I don't think that he should be a shorter price than 1, 3, 4.
They're going to have to step up and show improvement to beat him if he runs his race. But that is a question mark, and yeah, he is 9. There's upside with them, but 8-1 is just crazy. See what happens here coming up. In terms of the rematch with Deterministic and Carson's Run, on assuming even terms, and we know Carson's Run's coming off the bench Deterministic has that recency, but who do you feel is the better of the two?
I think that from what we've seen so far, it's Carson's Run, but Deterministic last time, having that recency, having that start on the dirt, and finally going to the lead with him as we take a look at what is a nice crowd here at Aqueduct for Derby Day, and we've been hearing some of them here in Equestris up here by the set, but he's had a rider in Joel Rosario who I am critical of sometimes for just not going to the lead or not putting horses in the right kind of position to be forward and having all the patience in the world. And usually it works out on the grass to have the ability to save ground and make the last winning move. But he's getting Kendrick Carmouche today. And Kendrick, to me, if you ask me who was more aggressive at face value, I would say Kendrick more so than Joel.
Let's not forget.
Ahí van al partidor, vamos, 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 que se puede campeón.
A couple of months ago, last year I should say, we thought this was going to be a major Kentucky Derby contender. His Gotham was incredibly good off a maiden race that was just sensational. Just did not pan out on the dirt for him. And now we've seen him turn into a very good turf horse, and that return race, very productive. He's become the favorite now over his stablemate.
He's going to be ahead of him early on in all likelihood. He has the recency edge. He's getting that rider change to someone that might have him in a slightly better early position. There isn't a ton of speed signed on in this race. I get it. I think that Carson's Run is a little bit better than him, but there's room for improvement with both of these horses. And I mean, K Army is who I ultimately settled on in here, but he's got a lot of questions to answer as well if he can face this level of competition and show up off of over a year away.
Grade 2 Fort Marcy feature on this Saturday card here at Belmont at the Big A, opening Saturday of the meet. Let's go to Chris Griffin for the call.
Tuscan Sky, last to load, is in. All set. And they're off in the Fort Marcy. Deterministic wanted to get on the front end, and Deterministic finds the lead, is in front, and will get over to the rail. Deterministic is going to show the way, and K Army was off a step slow, but now moves forward. Is going to secure second, is to the outside of Masterpiece. Tuscan Sky is settled towards the back end of the field, and the trailer.
Vamos, si tiene que tomar la vuelta al tiro.
Deterministic and Kendrick Carmouche, who has the lead. Deterministic is up by a length and a half. Comfortable now in second as K Army is stalking. Gets in closer to the pace setter now.
Dale, encima nomás.
And work to the backstretch, 24 seconds flat for that opening quarter mile. Deterministic has the lead. Right to the outside, K Army is a challenging second. Here's Masterpiece moving through at the rail, followed by Tuscan Sky. The trailer is Carson's Run, who's still at the back end of the field through a 47 and 4 half-mile time. So honest fractions for Deterministic. Deterministic trying to take them all the way in the Fort Marcy. K Army with no excuse right to the outside here, stalking from second. Now encouraged to keep up. Jose Lescano wants to move forward, and they work into the far turn. Deterministic is still strong. K Army continues to give chase. Masterpiece is back there in third, is challenging with Tuscan Sky. Carson's Run now unleashed from the back was dead last, but now Carson's Run starts to roll. 110.48 for a three-quarters of a mile. Deterministic is very strong at the top of the lane. K Army is trying to run this rival down. Carson's Run is lifting, but has a lot of ground to make up on front-running Deterministic, who approaches the final furlong. Deterministic is still running away with it. Deterministic inside the final 16th. This is a dominating effort here. Deterministic front-running wins the Fort Marcy by plenty. Carson's Run second, K Army, then Masterpiece finished fourth in 1 minute 45.70 seconds.
I believe that is a new track record for the mile and an eighth here for Deterministic. What a performance as he turns the tables for the first time on his stablemate.
Good things happen when you get position, and this is the first time he's ever actually been on the lead, out and out on the grass. A horse that had shown some versatility in rating, but hadn't been able to defeat Carson's Run. We knew he was going to get the jump on him today, but he established a clear early lead this time, and nobody was able to run by him or with him early on. Seemed like K Army was really spinning his wheels. Carson's Run with a lot of work to do to try to close from last, but Deterministic, we always knew he had talent, and now he got the right kind of ride.
Maybe finally starting to put it all together here. Dominating
Pero va a llevar harto tiempo sin correr.
Getting back on the grass here. Grade 2 victory.
Después de venir de una lesión,
this field in course
hizo
record
una buena
time.
presentación.
1:45 and 3.
Era mucho pedir que ganara.
And it's not as though he didn't run well on the dirt last time out either. So there's so many options going forwards with this horse who's tactical, he's versatile, he can handle multiple surfaces, and he can compete at a great stakes level on either surface.
Long way back to his stablemate, Carson's Run, who certainly could close that gap here with a start now under his belt. But this was impressive.
It was. And look, Carson's Run ran his race. He's the only one to really make a move from the back. Ended up finishing second in here after closing from last. Everybody else kind of standing still in their positions, unchanged throughout. But deterministic, this is a statement kind of performance. And maybe this is a sign that he will be aggressively ridden from now on and just allowed to do his thing on the front end.
He's teased us before with his immense talent when we thought he was a Kentucky Derby contender, but now maybe here to stay as a turf star. This was a big statement win in his second start back of his 4-year-old.